Now, this all comes at a time when Odell Beckham Jr. is still waiting for an opportunity. Well, the opportunity would be there. The question is, what financial level will a team offer him?
Yeah.
And we'll work backward from the events of the weekend. The first relevant event as we work our way to Saturday, the notion, and this really isn't a surprise, but it's something that requires reporting in the aftermath of the Cowboys trading for Brandin Cooks. Ed Werder of ESPN reported that likely takes the Cowboys out of the OBJ sweepstakes. And again, that's not a surprise, but it's a box that we need to check here in Scoop Town as we move from one story to the next. And it's really not a surprise. If you're going to put $12 million into Brandin Cooks and a 5 and a 6, how much money is going to be available to allocate for OBJ if he's still on your radar screen? And, who knows whether this means the Cowboys would have paid Odell Beckham Jr. $12 million. It's just like, well, if we're going to give up 12, let's give 12 to the younger guy, the healthier guy, the recently far more productive guy in Brandin Cooks, and let's just move on. I don't know whether or not the Cowboys ever got to 12 with OBJ. I don't think so, based upon one of the other developments from the weekend, Chris. But clearly now, with Cooks in, OBJ, who had been notoriously and openly linked to the Cowboys for months, he's now off the radar.
Yeah, I would think so. Again, I mean, especially if it is a considerable amount of money that OBJ wants. The Dallas can only pay so many people. CeeDee Lamb, that's coming up. Michael Gallup, let's not forget, they're paying him already. So he's got a big contract. Now Brandin Cooks, add that on. They're going to have to pay Tony Pollard. Are already on the hook for the franchise tag. So, yeah, I can't expect, or I don't expect OBJ to go there. I don't. And especially if you pay attention to the news and all that and whatever the things he's saying, maybe he'll go there if he takes some low ball offer. But I don't think if that's the place you'd go for a low ball offer now with those kind of weapons there. So, again, OBJ, the disconnect between the money or what he's expecting and what the NFL world expects out of him after 2 out of 3 years with an ACL injury and just getting back, there's obviously, something off there as far as what he expects and what the NFL sees him at right now, and that's going to have to meet in the middle at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's video from the workout that Odell Beckham Jr. had for all interested teams. Now 10 days ago, 12 teams were there. The Cowboys weren't there. Of course, Cowboys know what he can do. The Cowboys didn't have a workout with him when he came to town. They were interested, but now not interested, presumably. One team that Beckham would like to make interested in his services, the team that drafted him in the first round in 2014, the same year that Brandin Cooks was drafted by the Saints, the New York Giants. There was a tweet from Saquon Barkley retweeting highlights of the Odell Beckham Jr. workout and said, Saquon Barkley, still that MF. And let me just say on behalf of all humans whose initials are MF, it really is unfortunate to carry around the initials MF given the proximity to another phrase that starts with M and ends with
Yeah.
So anyway,
it fits. It fits that you're an MFer. It fits. It just fits. It's just
but you know what?
You're an MFer, and it makes sense.
What? Let me just say this: when I was a kid, there was never a good connotation for MF. At some point along the way, it became something positive and negative. Either or.
Right.
It was only negative.
Right.
If you were an MF when you were a kid, when I was MF and still am, it was always bad.
Right.
Now you can be a good MF.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley views OBJ as a good MF.
Yeah, he is a good MF. That's for sure. But yeah, what's it going to take to get OBJ, to come to town and sign a contract? The Giants would be the perfect situation for OBJ. It's a team that doesn't have like that guy, so he could be a part of the group and maybe become the guy, right? Darius Slayton, we got him. Okay, Darren Waller, we know what he is at tight end. I'm missing somebody else they signed at receiver here that just blanked off the top of my brain.
Paris Campbell,
exactly right. Another guy that's got potential but has injury issues. maybe that's why they don't want to do it with OBJ. Maybe they look at it and go, wait, we got Waller, we got Paris Campbell, they got injury issues. Do we really want to risk it with OBJ? There's a complicated relationship, too, with OBJ and the Giants, too. Let's not forget. Is the Mara family just going to roll out the red carpet and be like, hey, we'll forget all those crazy times we had together? So that's where I'm interested to see if there's real tangible, wanting of OBJ from the Giants organization. I'm not sure. I'm not sure there is. I'd be interested to know that.
I wonder what Eli's saying to ownership. Because
right.
Eli's still working there, has an office there. Eli lived all that firsthand. And from a style standpoint, OBJ, as far different of a personality as Eli Manning ever will be. So that's part of the equation as well. But it was the Giants, Bills, and Cowboys last year. And remember that reporting that first trickled in that he was at the facility. It turns out he was there to visit Sterling Shepard after Shepard tore his ACL, and he didn't meet with any coaches or executives. And there were still people after the fact from other teams who were mad that the Giants got away with not listing it on the transaction report as an official visit. And I remember it's like, dude, everybody knew he was there.
Yeah.
Who cares
if
it wasn't listed? Who cares if it wasn't listed? It was reported, and it was confirmed that he was there. Like, he visited. It doesn't matter that it wasn't on the report, but it was notorious, and it was a big deal, and it was out there, and it was a link that hasn't gone away. And as Beckham said in response to the still that MF tweet from Saquon Barkley, tell Joe, that's Joe Shane, the GM of the team, call my agent. I got some more SHXT left to do. I guess I appreciate his restraint in not using, because kids use that app, Twitter.
Yeah.
God forbid if they do, but they do. So OBJ not adding to the coarseness of the discourse by putting the I instead of the X. So I guess I respect that. But
what do you think?
And now we're kind of
where do you think this
we're
goes?
morphing into kind of well, I don't want to say desperation.
Yeah.
But look, here's the reality. Now it's different for OBJ because he became a free agent last year.
Right.
He's been available to anyone that's wanted to sign him for 12 months and a week now. But when he didn't sign with anyone down the stretch last year, it all pointed to free agency 2023. And regardless of how you got to the market, if you're on the market when they wave is it the green flag at the start of the race?
Yes, right. Green means go. Green means go. Okay.
When they wave that green flag, if you don't get a contract in the first few days, a big one, you ain't getting one.
Yeah.
Because the money gets spent. The money gets divided among the various players who are out there that the teams are going to expend their budgets on. And by the end of the week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're just standing around waiting. What's the John Travolta gif from Pulp Fiction where you're kind of looking around? You're in the empty room like, where are we? And so we get down to the 1-year deal phase. And that's where he is, Chris. He's in the 1-year deal phase. He's not going to get a long-term deal with the money that he's looking for. And he acknowledged on Saturday that if I'm interpreting his tweet correctly, the most he's been offered is $4 million.
Yeah.
He disputed the idea that he's been offered or he's demanded 20. I'm just so confused. Where is the quote from me that said I want 20? All I'm saying is 4 ain't enough. Now, there's never going to be a quote from him that he wants 20 because he's not the one negotiating with the teams. He's got agents. And 20 has been the number for months. Shefty reported 20 during the 2022 season.
Yeah, that's what we were all hearing.
We reported 20 a week and a half ago.
Right.
And I think Diana Rossini from ESPN said 15 to 20 not that long ago. So 20 has been kind of the accepted number. OBJ, if you're going to push back on 20, you need to push back on 20 back in 2022 when you're making the rounds. And Sunday Splash Report, OBJ's looking to make 20 in the range of Mike Williams. And where the market is, 20's not crazy. Like, why don't you want 20 if you think you're still a high-end receiver? Surely you do. And his reluctance to go work out for the teams. if I'm going to do a workout, I'm just going to do one. Now, he hasn't said that either, but I think that's been part of the push and pull. He didn't want to work out for anybody. Doesn't think he should have to. I can understand that. He finally agrees, I would assume, to do one time and one time only. Anybody who wants to come see me, come see me. So he still views himself as a high-end receiver. This would be a fun cross-examination to get him to admit that he wants 20. Even if he's never articulated the number,
right?
He surely does.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's some slappy on the low end that should be getting 4. Well, where is he between 4 and 20?
Yeah.
He's far closer to 20 than 4.
Right.
If not north of 20 in his own heart. Like, I see these guys getting 30.
Exactly.
I can do better than them.
Right.
I'm sure he thinks that at some level.
Right.
So the jarring part there is his admission that 4 is what he's been offered. 4 is a slap in the face. It really is. Now, 4, and maybe I can double it with some easy-to-reach incentives and per-game roster bonuses to get to 8. I could live with that. But teams are concerned that a guy who's torn his ACL twice, Chris, is going to what? Is going to what? Same as ACL, twice torn. What's your concern? It's going to tear again.
Yeah, or something else is going to tear, right? Something else. I mean, you're getting to the age where, there's a lot of wear and tear on a receiver's body. From all the years of running routes, jamming your feet and legs into the ground, making cuts, exploding out of the breaks, doing all of that. So, yes, that scares. And as we always talk about, teams they're mostly conservative in nature anyways. And that is not a formula that usually has great reward. 30-year-old receiver, 2 ACLs out of the last 4 years, that's risky. So, again, like, I understand why he wants, the 20 thing. You explained it perfectly, right? We were hearing all those reports during the end of the year that, there was teams where, whoa, it's an expensive price tag. I understand him wanting that. Yeah, there's guys on the list right there where he's looking at it and going, wait, Allen Robinson made $15 million a year last year. How do I not get that? Well, again, I think it just goes back to the health, the issue, the availability thing. Right? He's certainly worth that. Like you're saying, we know when OBJ is going and hitting on all cylinders, we'd put him up there with anybody in the sport. It's just been few and far between as far as games and periods of times of being able to see that. So that goes back to our old conversation, is he just needs to get to a spot where he can succeed. So what? Sign a deal for $5 million, like Florio's saying. Get incentives. Just make sure it's at the right spot where you can get the ball and put yourself in a spot to produce. But you're right, Mike. I mean, he's in it's the 1-year dealville as far as free agency goes. And really now I almost look at it and go, maybe it's not best for you to sign at this moment, this second right now. Because now you get into a point here too where, okay, the money's dried up like you explained, Mike, and all of that. Now maybe your best chance to maybe capitalize on the market or the money is to now just sit back, let teams go through free agency, get ready for the draft, and then see where their roster is after that. And then they go, oh, damn, man, we need another receiver. We need another receiver. And then you hope 3 or 4 teams, right, are having that same problem. Free agency and the draft didn't go our way at wide receiver. So, damn, now we will pay Odell $10 million to come here. That might be his best play as we sit here and get to this point where we're at right now.
And see, that's why I think he's been delaying.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to play late last year. He was using the promise of playing late last year to get the money that he wants. And I got no problem with a guy trying to get paid.
No.
I feel bad for OBJ that he suffered the non-contact ACL tear in Super Bowl 56 when he was on his way to becoming the MVP of the game. It was heartbreaking to see that because – number one, he wins MVP of the game. Number two, here he is. 2022 free agency.
Yeah.
He gets the contract that he deserves. And I really do think at a certain level, there's just an attitude of, and I'm not being critical, I'm just trying to help everybody understand why he's not signed. There's an attitude that this is beneath me. Going to these teams and working out is beneath what I've accomplished. Taking $4 million a year is beneath what I've accomplished. I'm better than that. I'm not going to settle for that. And he's dug in. And again, he's got every right to be that way if he wants to be that way. And he may be a little concerned about appearances. Does it look like I'm reducing myself to a level that I'm no longer at? I've achieved more. I've done more. I can still do more than that. And there's nothing wrong with having that kind of confidence in your abilities. The problem is if your own confidence in your abilities doesn't mesh what others view you as at this point in your career, you're not going to get a deal done. And, Chris, I still continue to believe there's a deal to be done that looks like it's a 15 to 20 million per year deal that is really a 1-year deal that gets ripped up. And see, we know the game by now. When his agents start texting the folks out there who are ready to win the Twitter race and get it out there without raising any scrutiny, questions, just give me the numbers. What are they? Oh, 5-year, $95 million contract. Same terms as the one he signed with the Giants, $595. Put it out there. And then you get the details, and it's clear that whoever signs him has an opportunity after 1 year to rip it up and make it a 1-year, $8 million deal, or whatever the case may be. And I agree with you. See what teams get or don't get in the draft. Wait through the offseason program. Michael Crabtree just standing around, blows out an Achilles. Remember when that happened?
Yeah.
That happens. Guys get injured during the offseason, and an opportunity will arise. But the problem is if that opportunity doesn't emerge, he's going to be in the same mode he was in last year. And we creep toward the season, and he still hasn't played. We get into the season, he still hasn't played. And then the question becomes, well, wait a minute. How we're going to sign a guy during the season that hasn't played in a year and a half, and he's coming off of 2 ACL tears, and we're just going to throw him money during the season and say, come on board and let's figure this out?
Yeah.
He just needs to do a deal.
Yeah, that's right.
If I'm his agent, I'm telling him, we got to do the best deal we can, Odell. We got to do it. We got to do it now. We got to get you up to speed. We got to get you ready. And if it's literally a 1-year deal or it's a 1-year deal in 5-year deal clothing, we need to get you on a team and let you perform if you're ever going to unlock the kind of compensation that you think you're deserving.
Agreed with you there. He can't do that first thing you were talking about where the season starts and then sign somewhere. That's not going to be good for him. Like you talked about, ultimately he needs to be in a training camp, get going, get reps, do that, right? And, again, if this continues to go on and there is no injury and there's no market, you know where this is going. I mean, at least it feels that way to me. I mean, if it goes and there ends up not being a market for the money he wants or deems that he's, valued at on the open market, where's he going, Mike? Where's he going? He's going to Kansas City. He's going to go there. The more the league just lets this play out, lets it go, the more likely he's going to go there because it fits everything we talked about. Doesn't have to be the main guy, but there is no main guy there, so he could be the main guy and get a ton of balls, and we know it's Mahomes and that offense and all the things we talked about the last 2 weeks and at the Combine that players are going to start wanting to go there. And this is the kind of guy where, wait, Brady retired, now he's like, hey, Mahomes, you're taking over for Brady, and now I call you every time I'm free and I can go somewhere else. I just feel like if it goes on any longer, it continues to go down this path, he'll be a Kansas City Chiefs before we break for training camp in June.
That'll be something if it happens. A couple of former Giants first-round draft picks.
Right, him and Kadarius.
of the receiving core, Kadarius Toney and Odell Beckham Jr. with Travis Kelce still there and whoever else they may add. They don't seem to be desperate to replace Juju Smith-Schuster, who signed with the Patriots last week, and they know they'll have options at the right time.
Exactly.
See, when you said we all know where he's going to go, as if it was obvious.
Well, what else are you
obvious
thinking?
To me, because I've been thinking the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, right? He's on the Aaron Rodgers wish list, not the Aaron Rodgers demand list, the Aaron Rodgers wish list. So we don't know what conversations have been had, and also. This is something I've heard through the grapevine. It was part of the pushback to Odell saying 20 never came out of my mouth. There's a good chance that in conversations directly with the eventual to be Jets new number 12, that Beckham told Rodgers he's looking for 20. There's a chance that Beckham directly said to Rodgers he's looking for 20. So even though it's easy to say the agents are the ones that would be doing the communication, there's a chance that number was
I'm sure it's not far off. Like
Aaron
you said,
Rodgers.
yeah, we get that. We get his logic, certainly. There's some names out there that are making money. We're going, what? He's not Odell Beckham Jr. if Odell Beckham Jr. is healthy, but that's a big if right now. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I know the Jets.
Should the Jets consider him though?
Well, that's
they got Alan Lazard,
right?
Randall Cobb's coming, Jordy Nelson, James Jones.
They got two young quarterback receivers who are not bashful already, and Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, right? It's Rodgers in a new place. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad situation, but if I'm Odell Beckham Jr. and you're going, wait, I can go to the Jets and maybe make a few $1 million more. I can go to Kansas City and play with that group. I would go to Kansas City. That would just be my two. That's no disrespect to the Jets. That's just what I feel would be best for Odell Beckham Jr. That's what we're talking about here. Buffalo, again, still the other place I'd throw out there to be a part of this conversation. For both sides, it makes sense. Buffalo needs that guy. Odell Beckham Jr. being a spot that puts you in a spot to capitalize. So I don't know where it goes, but yeah, obviously there's a disconnect between the reality of where he's at, what he's expecting money-wise, and what's being offered to him right now.
To the extent that Aaron Rodgers is setting up a summer of spite in New York, I could see that vibe attracting OBJ to the Jets. Because to the extent that he's trying to get the attention of the Giants and they're ignoring him, fine. I'll come into your town. I'll come into your stadium. And Jets at Giants on the slate, both for the preseason and the regular season. Yeah. I'll come show you what you missed out on. And to the extent that Rodgers is using that spite directed at the Packers as fuel for 2023, that could attract him to the Jets. And Alan Lazard and OBJ and Garrett Wilson, are you kidding me? Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah.
Things would be in great position for Aaron Rodgers to have a big year. So I think he'll eventually sign. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I think he's in the bargaining phase now based on his tweets. We go through a brief period of depression, and then we get to acceptance, and he'll take one of these deals. And I agree with you. I think the Chiefs probably waiting for the right time to make their move, but I think the Jets would be another team to keep an eye on. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.